Howdy and welcome to the dev stream. I'm going to be working on a multitude of things today. Hopefully so many things. Hopefully we're going to fly. Currently working on some art for the graduation common room interior decorations. I just want to knock that out and move on. I'm close to done with it, so I just want to check it off the list, check it in, call it done. Got some bugs I want to move on to, some collision, important stuff, one thing at a time. Horse blinders on. Just ignore everything and just one item at a time. And eventually we'll finish the game. Will it be in time? No, almost certainly not. But we'll just keep going as hard as we can, and hopefully the game will be good enough. Okay, let's see why my chat is not working. Yes, it appears my chat is not working at all, but I can see you all in the stream manager. Hello, everyone. Hello, Stormy C. Welcome. Nice to meet you. And Jerry Dean / Gary Dean. I don't know if I should say J or G. Hello and welcome back. Louder360. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Hey, Nani. And hey, James. Hello, hello. All right. Hey, Nani is confident it will be in time. Well, we'll ship something. We'll ship something, that's for sure. Let me see if I can get the chat working, because I do not fancy alt-tabbing into the stream manager every time. Well, it's not working. Oh, well. Oh, there it goes. Okay, it's finally in. Okay, so just some candles here. And we just need to do the other ribbon on the other side, and then I think we'll just call it good. It's kind of a hard edge there. We probably could, like, I don't know, just like pull it back or something like that, maybe. Maybe we could even cut around this brick. There's absolutely no way that this is a good use of time. Such a fool I am, but just a little silhouette detail. That is actually more likely to look like a bug, so I'm just gonna not do that. Stop it, stop it. Stop wasting time. Every single thing, there's no time for the joy of development. There's no time for making things pretty. Now is the time for checking things off the list and getting this thing done. I wonder why we sort of lost so much altitude. Don't know how that happened. So looking at the concept, it seems we're just above that painting there. So I reckon I'll move this forward a little just to make sure that it's not clipping into the wall. And then I think I can use proportional fall off and use like a smooth thing. And I think we can just sort of pull this down a little bit and then maybe pull it out a little bit just over here, just right to the edge of that wall. We've got it sort of going behind the chair here, but it looks like it's going to be okay. Okay, I'm just going to call that good. Maybe the bottom edge here, just sort of push that. Okay. And then we will try to export. So I'm going to unhide everything, convert everything to not export, and then try to find our decorations dummy object, graduation decorations to cube. And then we're going to have to go back over into Unity and graduation decorations. Huh. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Graduation decorations. Let's check that out. And then hopefully we'll be able to export. There we go. And then I'll take a peek at the common room. Only completed day 5. That is crazy. Wow. Well, I'm sure the days will start going faster for you. I imagine you'll be well ahead of the content for the day. I'm sure at some point you'll start having not much to do for the days. But that's crazy. Um, Hey Nani asks about Next Fest. So last time I was on stream, I was very blue and pouting like a child about our Next Fest because it wasn't going very well. We had a very, I would say, catastrophic start to Next Fest. But as the days went on, our curve just kept going up and up. We had a very strange Next Fest curve. Normally, it doesn't look like a hockey stick. Ours didn't quite look like a hockey stick, but it was just kind of a linear upward slope the entire time, which is very uncharacteristic of how Next Fest usually works. Usually, like Wednesday is when everything is ranked, and at least according to Chris Sikowski's Next Fest data, he had Thursday as being sort of most people's bigger day. Well, the biggest day for us of Next Fest was the last day of Next Fest before it ended, which is just really weird. And we just sort of had like a bit of a medium burn throughout Next Fest, and finally by the end, we did get over 11,000 wish lists, which is barely within my window of expectations. I really expected between 10 and 20,000. I thought over 20,000 would be a huge success. Under 10,000 would be a failure. And we got 11,000. So it's fine. It's within our window of expectations. We have high expectations. Put a lot of money into this game. But I've also just been doing a lot of research about Next Fest in general. And it seems like a lot of games kind of time their PR beats with Next Fest. We chose to not do that because we just thought Next Fest would do its own thing. We chose to do our own PR beat for our demo drop, and it went extremely well. We got 30,000 wish lists from that. And then we're going to let Next Fest do its thing. I really thought that Next Fest was kind of its own sort of algorithm, that it was just going to ignore wish list velocity from outside sources. But I don't think that that's true. It seems now like most of the games that did really well in Next Fest, they simply dropped their demo more recently. So it wasn't really they were even doing well in Next Fest. It's kind of just Next Fest is auxiliary to their demo drop, because now we know that the demo drop is actually way more powerful than Next Fest, and we drive most of our own traffic with our hoopla. So it seems like Next Fest wasn't quite as important as I thought it was, and we did okay in the end, even without PR beat. So it's a little bit more rosy, I suppose, than how I was feeling. I'm glad my pout was valid. Hatre, hello and welcome. Says, can't wait for the game to be released. Thank you so much for that. Planning to continue to develop the after the release, or will you mainly focus on fixes and work on your next game? So we are definitely going to be 100% focused on Glimmerwick after we launch, but I don't personally think it's a game that really makes sense to just keep adding content to, because it's a game you kind of finish. It's not an endlessly replayable, systemic, crafty, buildy game. It's not like Stardew Valley. So we're definitely going to focus on fixes. We do have a couple content updates that we have planned, mostly things that we simply don't have time to finish right now. So we're just sort of pushing those into updates, and we'll have something to shout about, like, oh, hey, here's this new thing that hopefully people will find exciting, but it's definitely not like a games as service situation. Hey Nani says, my D&D group came through. Yes, that's right. Your 7,000 count D&D group came through. No, I'm kidding. I do appreciate anybody you told about the game. It does help. I mean, it's grassroots word of mouth. I really think that is how most of the wish lists come in, because it just doesn't make sense that it's just there's no other explanation for how the wish lists seem to sort of snowball. So I think people are just telling their friends about, hey, this cool thing I found. So I do appreciate that. James says, I promised myself I would happen on and play the story yesterday. 30 seconds in, I get Azot no VO. Oh. Whoa, wait, what's wrong with Azot no VO? Oh, just that you have to report the bug. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Nani. Appreciate that. Oh, thank you so much. That is so kind of you. That is so kind of you. Well, you have it now. You have the full demo, or the full game. I hope you like it. And I hope that you don't hit any progress impeders, but you probably will. Because this is the first wave for sure. So we are expecting it to be a bit rough. Okay, so the graduation, we're going to turn on common room interior. Okay, so that one doesn't quite go as far as I would like it to, so we just need to push it over a little bit more. Also looks a little low res to me. And maybe that's just because I up-resed it, but hopefully it looks a little sharper than that. It should. What is the resolution of that texture? I forget. Graduation decorations. It's a 512. Yeah, that should be sharp enough. It should be 512 tall. And you know, so okay, so it'll definitely be sharper than this, because if it's 1080 pixels tall, then that should be full res. It's not taking up more than half the screen, so it should be sharp enough. But we do want that. I mean, I can't believe this doesn't cover. It looks so different in the game. So let's try that. Okay, there we go. And then we will take this and move it over a little bit, and then I will also drag. We'll turn on that proportional fall off, and I'll just drag it over to the right a little bit more. There. Okay. Also, the sag is just looking a little strange. I'm going to bevel this. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you'll hit stuff, but hopefully those don't get too much in the way. Hey Nanani says, I've scheduled my next week around it. All right. Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, thank you. Atre says, I'm glad this will be a full game, no DLC. So many games focus on expansions. That kind of fragmentation, which is usually planned before release, makes the game feel incomplete without them. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the DLC approach, but it does make a lot of money. And I have to say, with gamers, it's partially their fault, because they're so obsessed with games as service. Like, people will call Eastshade like an abandoned game all the time just because it's done. So it like it's one of those things. It's like, if people are going to expect updates forever, then you got to expect to be paying money forever, because nobody's just going to burn their, keep burning resources after their sales curve starts waning. I'm trying to turn off this UI layer. I don't like the sort of modern expectation that some gamers have that a game ought to be updated forever, or that like launch is just the beginning. To us, launch is the end. I mean, we've been working on this game by the time we ship, we will have worked on it for 8 years. So almost 8 years. So launch is definitely the end for us. And hopefully we just ship something good. And then we can just push fixes, bug fixes and stuff for a while until the game is reasonably stable. We do have a couple like content updates, and then hopefully we get to move on to our next thing, because we've been working on this game for a very long time. So that should be the end of the graduation stuff. Looks reasonable, I think. It's not super festive. Oh, what we can do is we can do start settings farewell. pre-farewell party, and this is kind of the end of the game. This is a spoiler stream for sure. This is not a spoiler-free stream. Frankly, I would not be able to do anything if it was a spoiler-free stream, so apologize for that. I'm going to turn the common room interior off. Okay. Come on now, let's do it. Let's do it. I feel you. Hopefully we'll move on to stuff that is a little bit less spoilery in a second here. Okay, pre-farewell party. Oh, God, we have so many broken... What is all with all these broken conversations? I think that this whole start setting is completely borked. I don't think anything about this is going to work. Well, okay, so the only way we can actually look at this then is to just use the console. We'll just check out the graduation decorations. We'll check out that bool. Seems like farewell party in progress. I'll just set that bool to true. There we go. Okay, so, oops. So it's almost correct. These candles are kind of working. They look a little weird. Seems kind of like they're going to burn down the place, but they're also skewed. I hate it, but whatever. I'm just going to leave it. And I bet nobody's going to notice this thing on the left. So let's just move on. Let's just be responsible and move on. Yeah. All right. So let's head over to Perforce, and I'm just going to refresh, and we're just going to call this like, I'll move this to another change list. We'll just call this scenes, and I'm going to check in graduation decorations. Submit. Cool. All done with that. Now I'm going to go into here and farewell event art. We're going to call that done. Okay. There were a bunch of animations. Fix that. The next thing is I do want to... Oh man, there's so much pamphlet day issue, so many pamphlet day issues. I don't know what we're gonna do about this barrier. It's just gonna be impossible. We're gonna have to change the way the game works. Okay, but for this one, we actually can do something. We should do something about it. So let's see what is going on there with the collision. Let's put it in developer start settings, and I do want to wall this one off sooner than later. Is the composer for the game in the Discord? I don't think he has a Discord. I don't think he pays attention to what is going on in the Discord. I don't even know if he's actually in the server. He's not a perpetually online person the way that I am. Which is good for him. I wish I could be a little less online sometimes. Right, I just want to go down here and see what's going on with the collision. So let's pop into, let's start a little further up and let's go developer start settings and let's start here. Okay. So I think what we should do is just go to about right here, and then we will extend the collision back behind that. I don't know what's stopping you from going here, but it seems like that collision wall should just do a lot more heavy lifting. We'll take a look. And then I want to cover up the seam. There's some junk here. I just want to have a bit more art support there. And then just to stop you right here behind this rock. And then I want to fill this in with some stuff. So that should be easy enough. Both sides you can walk down on. Okay, I'll check the other side as well. Hatray says, what's your take on games that feature a clock? How do you balance those elements? Does time play a big role in the game? Do you plan to include the option to slow down time in the settings? We have a lot of thoughts on game time. Actually have a whole devlog about how time works in Glimmerwick. But I know that would be tedious to link. We have a very, in my opinion, innovative system. So the clock does move forward, but every night the clock freezes. So, and you can take as long as you want. So really the only bottleneck for how much stuff you can do with your day is your energy or your mana. And that completely changes the game from a time management game, which is most farming sims are time management games. And it changes it into more of a, like almost like action points in a way of what stuff you want to do with your day. Every event also freezes time, and it's also mandatory. We thought this was completely genius, and it solved so many problems. In terms of, are we going to let players change the day length? I think we could. We haven't, but I think that we could. Because it really doesn't do anything in Glimmerwick. It doesn't have ramifications because we freeze the clock for every important event. So I think that we could, and maybe we will. How much slowing down a time passing could ruin the gameplay loop? Never. You can't mess with the time is basically just to facilitate the days are important in Glimmerwick, but the actual time in the day is not important. Because the clock freezes every night and because the clock freezes for every important event. And every important event is mandatory and you have to go to it at some point. Or else the clock will never continue ticking and you'll never be able to get to the end of the day and you'll never be able to continue certain quests. So you'll just kind of be stuck there. But you can do as much stuff as you want in that time. So it makes a very different feel for the game. We had a really big issue communicating this to players. They just carried their thoughts about how they thought the clock worked from other farming sims, and they just don't read. They don't read. Players do not read. So it's really hard to tell them. And the clock freezes, and it shows a little event puck. It shows a little icon. They're just like, they're not like, they just get stressed out when the clock is ticking, just because of the baggage of the other games. Not anything to do with our game, just the baggage of other games. And it pisses them off. And a lot of people complained about this. And it pissed us off because we were like, everyone was complaining, like, how could, like, the clock goes so fast. And it's really cruel that the clock keeps going during X and Y and whatever. And it's like, or they're like, you should absolutely make it stop it. And it's like, yeah, but that reinforces this lie that you are telling yourself that the clock is important. Like, that's not that's not what we told you. That's just what you think. Eventually, we had to make just a really disgustingly ham-handed, just relentless battering of forcing it down players' throats. Well, you start a new game, and the first thing that actually tells you is how time works. There's a little modal about night in Glimmerwick that the clock freezes. And the first time the clock freezes for an event, again, you get a modal that explains what's going on. The first time night freezes, again, you get a modal. It's just battering over and over, just relentlessly telling the player what's going on. And that is just because no game has ever done it. So it was really hard to tutorialize. But we finally have stopped seeing those messages complaining about the clock. So I think we finally did it. People finally get it. Way more ham-handed than we ever would have imagined we'd have to be about it, but seemed to do the trick. So, okay, let's polish this up a little. I just want to cover this with some kind of stuff, just a little something, so that this doesn't look so ugly. Particularly this seam is very ugly to me. We've got this rock here, which you can hardly see. I'll just move it up a little bit. I could even move this rock all the way over here. How does that look? Yeah, I think that makes this area look a little more hostile to players. Like there's not really anything for them here. Let's do that. I don't actually think I got to the bottom of chat. The rocks near the waterfall above you. The rocks near the waterfall. Is it these ones? I'll have to go see. Oh, yeah, these ones don't have collision. Do I even want to add collision on these? I mean, they're kind of small. I guess I will. Yeah, I'll just add collision on these. These ones, it feels like it might just be ticky-tacky to add collision, but I'll do it just because people think it's a bug, so I'll do it. Do this one. We'll do this one too. Okay, let's add box colliders. Box collider. There we go. Okay, so that's done. Oops, I just want to cover up that nasty seam. Seems like we pretty much already did it. There should be some more stuff to find over here. So I'm gonna just grab a couple of these, almost like a little bonus for exploring over here. What else? What other little goodies can we add? Maybe a little, one of these. Let's add one of these. We'll move it down a little bit more. Just they're not right on top of each other. Okay, cool. And what else? What else? What other little goodies in this biome? I'll put one of these as well. Over here. Okay, I think that's enough. Now I'll take a look at the walls. Well, I'll move the player down here, which is where I'd like the player to stop. So all this stuff needs more art. So I'll start with just these big bushes. Man, if you're making a game, you need big bushes. You need some big bushes that look great, that you can just cover up all kinds of edging and stuff with. These bushes are so versatile. They weren't even built for this reason. I feel like the most useful prop in your game is never going to be something that you designed for that purpose. It's always going to be some random thing that you made for some other purpose that like you just realize is just so versatile and does not repeat easily and is just can just fill in space, and it just always looks good. Just like a great bread and butter filler of space. And in this case, it's those bushes. They are some great bushes. Oh, cool. Oh, thanks for watching the devlogs, Hatchray. I don't know about what the modders will do. Eastshade has a pretty underwhelming modding scene. It takes a lot of money. Your game has to make a lot of money before the modders come to it. Like, it needs to really be a community. And which, if you have a community around your game, is because you made a lot of money. So I don't know if our revenue will be big enough. This is the catch-22 of doing mod support, because it's so incredibly difficult to do mod support. And everyone's always like, all the gamers are like, oh yeah, adding mod support really extends the life of your game and builds community and all this stuff. And I don't know if it does. It's certainly statistically true that games with mod support sell well. But is that because they have mod support, or is it just that giant ass games that are so big and systemic and huge from studios with vast tech muscle and tech legacy that can actually make a moddable game, and a studio that ships a game already knowing that it's going to have modders? Is that just a game that is going to sell well anyway because it just is coming from a mastodon like Bethesda? It's really hard to separate. So it would be very silly to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars as a studio making mod support, and then your game to only make like 300 grand and never have a single mod. It just feels bad. It would be cool though. I feel like our games aren't quite systems heavy enough to really facilitate a modding community. I'm going to try to find the wall of this. I'll just grab all the walls here. So there is somewhere in here we see the walls. So I'm just going to start flicking through these. It's going to take a long time. I'm just watching for the green to pop up. Actually, okay, so it's somewhere in here, so it's not far off. So I'll just start flicking down till the green pops up. There it is. All right, so it's farm area cliff wall. Let's edit the poly shape. It's really weird that, oh, okay, I can see it. Editing poly shape, it says. I don't feel like I'm editing the poly shape. Yeah, what's going on? Is this a bug with Pro Builder? Doesn't seem like I'm able to edit the shape because I don't see my spline. Yeah, and I'm not able to add points. Okay, well, I don't know what the deal is with that, but I guess I'm just gonna add a box collider. Shouldn't really be any different. And I'll just call it col. And we'll just stick it here, and we can just do this the old-fashioned way. The small ones, it'll stop players going super close to the waterfall. I think they might just get like stuck behind it. So you're saying it's not these ones? Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to take a look at that. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Hatchray says, mods are great for games that are replayable with different gameplay variations and progression paths. Yeah, It's true. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know actually how people will play Glimmerwick. I don't know. It's not. It's definitely not. I wouldn't think that it's that kind of game, but I was surprised at how much replayability people seem to get out of Eastshade. And this game is certainly a lot more systemic than Eastshade, so I'll be kind of curious to see what other people perceive the game to be. Okay, so here is a blocker, and just turn off the mesh here. And I'll give it a little something to grab onto, and I'll test it now. Let's pop into developer mode. Hatray says, do you plan to include options for playing through your game multiple times? Is it possible to play through the game a completely different way on next playthroughs? I mean, kind of, because you could make your farm however you want it. So you could make a farm with different crops. But you can't, there's not multiple ways to solve quests. So it's not like an immersive sim in that sense. And it's not really like what most people think of a CRPG like that. So I don't think certainly that crowd will feel like that kind of game. It's not like Baldur's Gate 3. But I am curious, because you could say the same thing about Stardew. Like, there's not multiple ways to beat the actual content in Stardew. Like, the NPCs, their quests are the same every time. I think their gifts are the gifts that they want are the same every time. And how you get those things, I guess there's some variability there. And that's the same in Glimmerwick. I mean, you could wildcraft things, you could forage for things, you could grow them yourself on your farm. And when you do grow them, you could grow them in different ways. You could use a potion called Instagrow to just make it pop up right away. You have different spells for growing your plants. So in that sense, there's some variability, but it's not like you're going to see different paths with the NPC, oh no, you took a different path and now the whole city blew up or something like that. There's none of that. So I'm not really sure. I mean, certainly, farming sims people perceive as systemic, infinitely replayable. This game is not infinitely replayable because, I mean, the game ends when you want it to, but it doesn't assume that you're going to keep going year after year. It assumes you're going to play for 1 year and then you're going to graduate and then you're going to be done. But we'll see. We'll see how people, what people do with it and how people play it. We'll be curious. But it's too late for mod support, that's for sure. Unity is also not really a great environment, I feel like, for mod support. I think Godot is. James says, I'm going to do another sweep over the main world map later to check for final sneaky ones. All right. Okay, and you did say the other side as well has collision issues. So let's walk down the other side. And then if I could get to the pumpkins today as well. So I can't get any lower than this. Must have been some kind of... Oh, okay, I see. Okay, yeah, we don't want players doing that. So that's probably how you got down. I wonder, is there a wall in here? Seems like there is some kind of poly shape in here. So I want to be able to edit that and just take it further. Yeah, okay. Bim's Lab, hello and welcome. I've been planning to play the demo, just haven't gotten around to it. All good, appreciate the support. Thank you for that. Very kind of you to say so. Okay, let's take a look at the walls here. So we'll grab all of these walls. So none of those walls. Any of these? None of those walls either. Interesting. You'll probably be very pleased to know, James, that there is a game object in the game called wombat walls. These are the wombat walls right here. I guess you found many different ways to sneak through these, so we just created a solid wall, and it's named after you. Jate Live, hello and welcome. Nice to meet you. I found this in NextFest. All right. Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah, very different kind of game, but it is eponymously named. I do regret naming our studio eShade Studios. It is a very stupid name, but I just thought with how big eShade, how much time we're spending on eShade, that it should be our big flagship game, and that it would just be simpler if people didn't have to memorize the studio name and the game name. But I think that has just really turned out to be quite stupid. Plus, eShade's kind of hard to say. But anyway, welcome to the stream. Bims, hello, welcome. I'm trying to get inspiration for a less combat-based game. My games inevitably end up being combat-focused. It is very hard to stay away from the combat loop. There's just so many examples that we have in our brain of ways to do it. One thing that really helped me is obviously playing games that don't have combat loops, but just realizing that you can absolutely replace the combat loop. That the medium, like Elden Ring, for instance, is clearly a game about combat, but actually the largest scale game loop in Elden Ring is actually an adventure game backbone. The game has an adventure game backbone, the biggest loop in the game. And in my opinion, the reason it enchants people, obviously the combat is very good, but people are absolutely smitten by the Elden Ring world and progressing through it. The macro loop in the game is just an adventure game. It's doors and keys, baby. It's just finding your way through an environment and finding out how to get to the next area. And that itself is an extremely good loop if you are really good at building game worlds. And you can kind of strap anything to that. At least we found. I mean, we made a game about painting, and now we're not even really making a game about farming. It's kind of just adventure game. We kind of have a mishmash of different loops in it in Glimmerwick, and it's kind of weird, but hopefully it works. And Gary Dean says, just FYI, most people use Bepinex for Unity modding. Okay, well, I've never even heard of it. Jate Live says, very different. Enjoyed the whole demo. All right, good to hear. I'm glad you did. Okay, so I don't actually know what is walling this. I'm going to type in ochre. It's really weird because let me click on the entire ochre woods supergroup and see if I can figure out what is going on here. So in the exterior world, we have the farm, we have the city, Linden's farm, collapsing all this stuff. We have lower river dressing, we have the Merm Beach. Here's the ochre forest. So inside the ochre forest, we do have some kind of wall, I see, but it ends a little early. It ends right there. So, but apparently it's not called a wall. It's somewhere in here, so it's clearly not that deep in this group. So let me just start flicking through these to try to find this one. Looking for that green wireframe that indicates to me that we have the walls. Okay, it's got to be that ochre forest tree line. I see. There it is. All right, so can I edit it? So I can't edit this one either. I wonder what happened. Do I have to like open Pro Builder? Open Pro Builder? I don't know. It's very strange. Why can't I edit the poly shape? I don't know. It's very concerning though. But I guess we're just gonna have to do the same sort of thing. We're just gonna have to make a box collider inside of it. I really don't want to do this. I'd much rather edit the walls. Editing a poly shape will erase modifications. This is weird. I wonder what's creating the issue. Is it because we're on Ignore Raycast or something? Oops. Yeah, very bizarre. Oh well. Well, we just have to create a box right now. I'm just in the business of getting things done right now, so I'm not going to try to go down some rabbit hole to fix this bug with Pro Builder. I'm just going to do the thing that I know is going to work right here and right now. It's a feral state we're in here, just trying to get things done. You have to, toward the end of development, for anyone who hasn't been toward the end of development in production, you really have to stop trying to you just have to do things in the fastest way possible that's gonna work, and just dust off your hands and say, there, it's fine. Okay, so looking at, I'm gonna move the player over so that we can kind of see what's going on with our wall. So looking right here, I really want that wall to be pushed out significantly more so that players aren't gonna, I don't want them to just nestle into that little crevice back there for no reason. Players are gonna feel like they can, oh, can I go back here? What's going on? I don't want that. So I'd really prefer that if you can't go where you can't see. So I'm just gonna keep pushing this box all the way until I can see that white. There we go. Now I can see the white. Now I'll walk it back a little bit. And that should do it. I'm pretty sure, because this will have collision on it. And I don't think you'll be able to get back there anymore. So I'll call this cull, and then I will make it red so that I have something to grab onto. I'll go ahead and save exterior world. I'll catch up with chat. Thanks, Blims. Appreciate that. I hope it does well too. We put absolutely everything we have into it. And we're gonna be what's the word? Destitute is the word. If it doesn't do at least pretty well. So we'll be pretty screwed if it doesn't make at least 1 million net. Bepinix, Sum of All Noobs. Hello, welcome, says Bepinix is fantastic. I've never even heard of it. Crazy. Jake Live says, appreciate the voice acting in both Eastshade and Glimmerwick. All right, rock on. Yeah, I do too. It's a really fun part of development. Not just because the voices are good, but the dialogue feels very genuine. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, we work hard on the dialogue. I'm glad you like it. James says, I scanned the Ochre Woods yesterday. This was the only break I found. We'll have to test again. Okay, great. Wow, if you didn't find anything, that's got to be the best collision job we've ever done, because if you didn't find anything in the whole Ochre Woods, that is... I couldn't be more pleased about that, James. Okay, so going this way is impossible. I'm fairly certain of it. Yeah, she can't go around here. The current is too strong. I guess the only thing is if I gave myself a wetsuit. I have not tried that. Oh, I don't think it actually matters if I'm in a wetsuit. She's still not gonna be able to swim in the river, right? Okay, cool. So we can't go this way. This is I don't like this. She's getting stuck on an invisible wall here, which I try not to do, but whatever. I'm not going to fix it. Just ship with shame. The ship with shame level is what you're shooting for. When you are in the end of development, we have this saying called ship with shame, which means get to a level where you could ship it. Then you can maybe, if you have time, work on making it better. But for now, ship with shame. Just get it to a level where it's shippable. Just put a bunch of talking bushes there. Wouldn't it be so nice if we could? But then they would have to say something, and then people would want them to say something interesting, and then they would want some content. It's never enough. I did see a little volumetric light bug with the tree poking. Oh my god, it's no time to be yawning. It's not time to be yawning. We must work as if the whips of our masters are behind us. That's a Lord of the Rings quote, by the way. I'm not saying anything weird. Well, I guess it might be weird, but it's from Lord of the Rings, so it's kosher. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Jate Live says, chat really like the music too. All right, rock on. I didn't know you're streaming it. That's great. Check out your channel here. Oh, right, I can't do it unless I'm in the stream manager. Let's give Jade a peek. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you for streaming our game. Appreciate that. All right, so that should do it for that bug. Put a barrier here, is done. Awesome. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if I should attack. This one. I should attack this one. Okay, we're going to keep bone bundles and candles. We will replace and remove the alembic. Okay. So she says potion of speed needs alembic and bone bundle. Fungal transmutation needs alembic. All right, so it's potion of speed and fungal transmutation. Speed. What should a potion of speed use? That's the question. What does it use right now? It uses a bone bundle, dread sorrel, and hot essence. What? It doesn't use an alembic. Jenny must have already fixed this. It does not use an alembic. Fungal transmutation. Hot essence. Did Jacqueline fix this or something? Let me look for fungal transmutation history. So we're gonna go to, I'm gonna check the check-ins on this file. Data, then we're gonna go to item datas. And then we're gonna go to potions. Brewed here. Potion of fungal transmutation. Let's go look at the history. Okay, item data descriptions and Unity rediscovered. So that was a long time ago. I'll respond to this. Looking at the potion of fungal transmutation. Looking at the ingredients lists, I'm not seeing the alembic. Let's check leafkin tincture if it uses the bone bundle. Leafkin tincture does use a bone bundle. For potion of speed and fungal transmutation. Because I also don't see any recent check-ins on those item datas. Fix this. Okay. So that might be done. Coffee plus hot essence. Oh yeah, that'll speed you up real good. If you want to see a stupid glitch, click to cross the river with D, then spam click her before it crosses. Click to cross again, and it'll create a weird, a weird glitch. Is that already in the bug list, James? Jate Live says, how did you decide to make this game and in 2.5D after doing a 3D game? Well, Eastshade was sort of my baby, and I am a 3D artist. My background is environment art. I used to work in AAA games as an environment artist. And my wife, who by about year 3 of Eastshade development, was working full-time with me on Eastshade. She did a bunch of stuff in that game. Would not have been the same game without her. But she grew into this amazing game designer throughout the course of development. She also did a lot of like mapping and all the illustrations in the games, all the posters and icons and all kinds of stuff. But Glimmerwick is basically Jacqueline's baby. So Jacqueline's the creative director of Glimmerwick, and she is the lead artist. She drew like almost every single thing on screen, like thousands and thousands of illustrations for the game. So since it was her baby, then it sort of has her art style. And that's why we ended up at this sort of 2.5D look, which is very unique. And I really haven't seen very many games like it. And I'm quite proud of it. Oh, okay, got it. All right. Okay, what next? What next? So I've been wanting to do I want to get these content done. So pumpkin judging area art polish. I'd like to take a look at that. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see if I can knock this out real quick. So I'll start this from the Fall Fest. And I reckon it doesn't quite matter where I put myself, but let's just give it a try here. Oh, and I don't have my volume up. I probably missed some follows. Lil Halachu, if you're still around, I do appreciate the follow. I know it's been a while. Sorry for missing that. Friendly, hello and welcome. Nice to meet you. FYI, your stream doesn't show in software and game development. Oh, I forgot to do that. I've got so good at always remembering. Let's set the category. Thank you. Appreciate that. I wonder, it's been a really quiet day stream-wise. And I wonder if that just makes all the difference. Because usually we set that. We usually have a lot more viewers. All right, so... Oh, that's awesome. Great. Very good. What is this null reference exception? God dang it. Indy has no conversation. For intern stub. Oh boy. I don't even know if it's going to work. Probably doesn't work. Because there's supposed to be a... There's supposed to be a carriage, I believe, here that will take me. Let me look at the calendar. So the calendar, it says Pumpkin Moon Festival. It might be tonight. It's the only thing I can think of. Let's try. JK Sad says, where do you find a job apart from LinkedIn? I've been looking for a job for a while and still haven't found any. I'm a 3D weapon artist. Okay, now it's Pumpkin Moon Fest time. So I wonder if I have to go in and come out. Well, finding a job is really hard in general. In my case, I mean, it was a long time ago when I got a job in AAA games. It was like 2010. There it is. Let's see if this works. Oh, I pet the horse. That's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk to you. Ready to go to the festival? Oh, did she not have any voice dialogue? 1 second. Mute audio.
Ready to go see the festival?
Excellent. Okay, well that's the wrong line, but whatever. Is this the right music? Ah, okay, cool. So here's the little setup that we're gonna do. Let's get that going. For finding a job, in my case, I went to a trade school local to the area, in the Seattle area, and the teacher worked at ArenaNet. And at the time, they were kind of doing this internship program, so he kind of threw an art test out to the whole class, and everybody did the art test to get the job, and I sort of won the job. But I think for 3D art in particular, your portfolio has to be really, 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 really good to get a job. You basically have to be as good as like an experienced artist in the industry. And that's actually, even in 2010, it was like that. And I believe I was. I believe when I walked into ArenaNet, I was already really, really good. I know that sounds super arrogant, but really, I worked super duper duper hard for a couple years, and I became a pretty good 3D artist, and I had a really good portfolio. I actually still have the portfolio pieces that kind of got me my job. And they don't even look bad. Like, they literally still hold up. They're still good. And fortunately, at least if you're, I don't know about weapons artists. That's I don't know if that's saturated or not. I know there's a lot of games with weapons. But it's like hard surface. I know lots of people love the hard surface modeling stuff, so that might be saturated. I did environment art, and environment art is most definitely not saturated. Environment art is the highest demand. More companies need it. No matter what kind of game you're making, you need lots of environment artists. In AAA, it's always the biggest team. It's always the biggest department in the company is always going to be environment artists. And it's, for whatever reason, many art people who go down the 3D art path, they're not really interested in environments. They're interested in characters. I think a lot of people like modeling props and stuff, but it seems like very few people like modeling entire scenes, like forests and paths and mountains and architecture and cities and stuff like that. For whatever reason, a lot of people aren't interested in that. But that's the bread and butter of most games. You know, that's really where a lot of the production money goes into. So that is always has said to be, you know, the easiest job to find, even though it's still not easy because you still have to be really, really, really good. There's a lot of people who want those jobs, and the standards are really high. But yeah, especially if you don't live in a game dev city, you're gonna have to get a remote work. I don't even know what that looks like. I mean, I know how it looks from my perspective, hiring people, but I don't know what it looks like from the perspective of an employee. Okay. All right, perfect. So I pet the horse just in time. Confidence comes from competency. Well said, James. Well said. I really don't like that saying. I'm sure everyone has heard it. Fake it till you make it. I really find that very offensive. It's just like, well, fuck that. Fake it till you make it. Don't fake anything. Have the freaking skills to pay the bills. That's what I say. I don't feel like I've ever faked anything in my life. I feel like, you know, every job I've ever gotten, I really felt like I could help them. I felt like I know how to do exactly what you need done. And I'm really good at it. And that's always how I felt walking into the jobs. I've never felt like, I'm going to pretend that I know stuff and then they're going to hire me. And then once I get in, then I'll start learning. No, I really felt like I knew what I was doing. I want to go to the Fall Fest. Fall Fest interior. And we're going to try to knock this thing out. I'll feel so happy once we can get this card knocked out. James says, my brother said you got to be the rock star for people to believe it. Putting on the leather jacket alone doesn't fool anyone. Yeah, I agree with that. You got to be the rock star. That's right. You got to know your instrument. You know, you got to play well. You've got to have been on that journey. Musician's journey. Got to have played a lot of shows, you know. Maybe written a lot of songs or whatever. Maybe you've bounced around between bands. You have experience. You're a real rock star. You're a real musician. Okay, so for this little pumpkin area, I'm just going to look at Jacqueline's concept here. Let that be the guide. So, got this one. She has a path. I will open that in Photoshop. Stick that in there. Okay. What is this though? Is it like, I actually don't know what is under. Is this like tilled dirt? I might have to ask her. Let me check. Okay, she says it's wood. So, if it's wood, then I wonder, is it supposed to be like rough, or is it supposed to be like built up? Or is it supposed to be like beams that are laid down? I'm not really sure. But I guess we'll just model something. Let me see if we already have some meshes. It's ochre forest terrain, ochre woods. So we don't really have anything related to this. So let's go ahead and make a new Blender file. So we'll start with the models folder. Let's head on over into models. Models, come on now, models, blends. Boats? I don't know. Doesn't even matter. I'll just open any old Blender file. Hey, Koyakupa, welcome, welcome. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new Blender file. I know it's an old version of Blender. It's old. Don't want to update. I know I'm going to get that question in a second, but that's okay. Save as. Let's save it as Fall Fest. There we go. Fall Fest. That's it. And actually, I was going to add it to Perforce, but it's going to create a couple backups first, so I'll just let it do that. Let's go empty. Let's start with our cube. And let's say pumpkin area boards LT0. And then we will put down a plane. Oh, I have my sound on now so I can hear. Xavier, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. I just saw you in the models file. What? I don't understand. Your plugins. I don't understand. What are you guys saying? Okay. Oh, your plugins might be in reference to the fact that I have an old version of Blender. So let's make a new material. Let's get some boards. Some kind of boards. I'll constrain my search to material. I don't think we want Seaflower boards. We'll just start with these boards, I guess. Oh, these are darker boards 3. Let's get those. Yes, particularly one plugin that I wrote, the exporter for Unity boards. Let's say Fall Fest boards. And I will copy the name of this material and I will put it in this Blender file, and then I will parent this. Okay. And let's go ahead and open up the UV image editor and unwrap this thing and just put the boards on here. We'll go into the textures and we'll get those boards. Boards 3, sure. There we go. We've got some boards, and now I'll go into textured mode and I'll back up out of this and we'll go Fall Festival interior. And if I turn that on, hopefully we'll be able to see what we're doing. We might need a viz cam here, Fall Viz. So I'll turn on that viz cam and that should enable us to actually see what we're doing. It's of course much brighter than it actually would be, but that's all right. We should still be able to at least roughly see what's going on. We got all these pumpkins. I guess the first thing to start with would be the sort of arrangement that she has of these pumpkins. So we're going to remove all those rugs. We got that purple pumpkin too, which I don't know if is it a pumpkin that we even have. Koi Koopa says, at your previous stream, you said you have 150,000 wish lists and that you're expecting 1.5 copies or dollars. Yeah, definitely dollars, not 1.5 million copies would be a lot. And we're not going to sell 1.5 million copies. I want to remember that, but couldn't. Oh, well, I mean, you can always just look at like Steam wishlist calculator. There's a bunch of these things. You can use any of them. Obviously, there's a lot of variability, but if you just Google Steam wishlist calculator, like this one will you just put in the wish list. So in our case, we have 150. We have actually 164,000 now. If we say 164,000 wish lists, and if we say a list price of $24.99, then we might expect roughly 3.1 million lifetime revenue in net revenue. Gross revenue would be far more. It would be like probably 4.5 or something. And it shows the kind of breakdown, what you can expect here. This slider basically just is saying like some people have just a better correlation of wish list to sales. Like Eastshades wish list to sales ratio is completely insane. Like we only shipped with 28,000 wish lists, but we made $3.5 million. So in gross. So the net take home is probably something like 2.2. So that puts us in the top 12% for wish lists to sales. But anyway, if we put 164,000 wish lists, then we can roughly expect to make 3.1 million net revenue off of this many wish lists. There's certain things you have to consider. Like we took over 4 years to accumulate that many wish lists. Our Steam page has been up for a very long time. So that sort of dilutes the stat a little bit. So that might mean we're sort of sliding more to the low range, but our genre is not overall average. Our genre is more like our simulation, let's say. So if it's more like simulation, then, you know, that kind of pushes us in the other direction because simulation games tend to convert better. Then we also have this history of Eastshade that, you know, we historically have had very, very good long tails on our games. So then we consider that as well. So there's lots of little things to consider, but all in all, I would say anything above 2 million net for us would be a success, and we would absolutely happily continue making games, and everything would be peachy keen. If we made 1 million net, we'd probably still keep making games, but it would suck and it would be sad, and we would be very squeezed and stressed, I think. But we would probably carry on, try to be cheaper, scrappier. I don't really know. And if we netted less than 1 million, I would consider that a failure and would likely be the end of Eastshade Studios. Thanks, James. Thanks. I think it's probably more likely. It's more likely that we net over $4 million lifetime than under 1 million. Easily. I think anyone would agree with that. Anyone who knows Steam stats would agree with that. So, you know, it could be. We could do it. So looking at the pumpkins here. I don't know why I keep yawning. I don't like it. I don't want to be yawning. We got these rugs. Don't want these rugs. Where is the rug coming in on? It's like, oh, they're just literally here. So let's just delete them. Just confusing us. Let's delete these rugs. So that one I can't even see. This little tiny baby rug. Here's another rug. What about you? You're another rug. Player pumpkin. Okay, well, we'll just delete that rug as well. And now we have to arrange them roughly. So we got to put that white pumpkin. Actually, the white pumpkin's already sort of... this kid moves around, so let's use another benchmark. What about that fence down there? The white pumpkin, the left side of it roughly lines up with that fence. So I think that that's about right. Let's go see that follow. The Riveted Rose, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate that. Thank you, Koyakupa. Oh, well, you know, it's possible. I think if Glimmerwick failed, I don't even really know how, because our wish lists are strong, our demo stats are strong, our median playtime is high, people really like the demo. It would have to be that the game really, I guess it would have to be like a polished thing, like the game was too unstable and too many bugs and stuff. That doesn't usually sink a game though. Usually people will fight through it, especially when it's something like Glimmerwick, where if you do hit a bug, you can just reload your save. I have never seen actual just bugginess sink a game's sales. Assassin's Creed Unity maybe was the only one I can think of, at least at the AAA level, and at the sort of indie level. Yeah, we don't really see it happen, except with like multiplayer games where it's just like server issues that just make it impossible to play. And I think that can really hurt a game. But even that as a multiplayer, because it's like an avalanche, right? Because multiplayer requires other people to play. If you're having server issues, other people can't play, and then there's no people playing. And because there's no people playing, nobody wants to play. And it's just kind of this snowballing effect that can happen with the multiplayer games. You don't really see that in single player games. So I don't know. I like to think that it would be hard to fail at this point, but we're just gonna work our asses off, work as hard as we can, and hope for the best. There's one more pumpkin type. Oh, that's the player pumpkin. Okay, so we'll leave that one. I like that purple pumpkin. Koikupa says, was this look is the final look, or will you do post-processing to the look? The game itself, well, what you're seeing right here looks kind of atrocious because we're working on the scene still. But in general, the game is done. I mean, visually. Certainly, if you played the demo, what you saw in the demo is how the game will look for the whole game. We don't like to use a lot of post-processing. I mean, there's not a lot of post-processing that would even make a difference for Songs of Glimmerwick. I open the general chat and read the player feedback. Oh, in the Discord? Yeah, lots of positive things in the Discord for sure. We also have a median score in our feedback forms. We have 145 feedback forms, and the median rating is 9 out of 10, which is really, really high. 54% of people who filled out that form are telling us that they're a day one purchase on the game. And then the vast majority of the rest are saying likely to purchase or something like that. And then like, I think less than 20% are saying like wait for reviews, or even less. It's like 15% or something. And then we have like 2% that said like basically it wasn't good enough. They're not into it. So it definitely seems like good stats. I've been telling all my mates who play casual games. All right, I'm glad they like it. Casual games, though, it's not really a casual game, is it? When I think casual game, I think like clicker games and stuff. But I'm glad that they liked it anyway, and I'm really grateful that you're telling your friends. It's very kind of you, James. Appreciate that support. Okay, looking at concept, now we've got the yellow one just sort of under here, and then we have this one over here this way. I think that's pretty much it. Now we just look for the player pumpkin. We kind of lost sight of it here. I don't know how to get it back. Player, here it is, player pumpkin. Just put it right here. And then we have this little tiny pumpkin. That is a really tiny pumpkin. That's a pathetic pumpkin. Let's put that in here. Okay. And then we have this purple one. I hope that we just have these. I don't think we will. 7, no. Competition pumpkin. I don't think we have the purple pumpkin. Pumpkin decor. Unless it's a pumpkin decor. Nah. Okay. We'll just delete that one for now. And then I want to make that wood. So looking at the concept, just, I don't know if I should, how intentional she was being with this sort of the ratty shape of this. Let's just start with some kind of, let's just start with a cube. And then parent this, and then we just need to make sure to go into Unity tools and go into models, disable relative path, accept, export that. Got pumpkin area boards. Pumpkin area boards, let's stick that in there. Okay, then we'll sort of scale it up. And we'll go from there. Put that right on the ground. I'll take all these. We just want to raise them up until their shadows pop above the boards. Does this shadow? Okay, yeah, that shadow's already above. And then we're going to want to move this. And now let's tighten this up a little bit. Oops, let's make sure to preserve UVs, correct UVs. Just make it a little bit more squat. Make it a little bit wider. I guess we'll unwrap this again. Hello, Cacciarella. Says, I would call it casual, but among my gamer friend group, that usually just means anything that isn't driven by competition and difficult mechanic. We might be totally off, though. Not sure what the official Steam tag means, but I see it on a lot of the cozy-ish art-driven games I love. Interesting. Interesting. Are we missing out by not tagging it casual? I wonder. Casual games, Steam. What is actually casual on Steam? So casual is Bellatra. Really? Dave the Diver is casual. Cities Skylines, which is a gnarly ass city builder with traffic simulation and taxes and neighborhood ordinances and massive spreadsheets of city stuff. I had no idea that's what casual. Casual is just anything, apparently. Should we put the casual tag? I wonder. Like Sims, to me, I guess I don't know what casual means. I mean, there's absolutely nothing casual to me about City Skylines. This is a gnarly city builder for gnarly city building simulation folks. Overcooked, maybe you could call casual. I don't actually know what this is. Okay, so this is like just kind of decorating, it looks like, maybe. I could see why that would be casual. I don't know what this is. Palia. I don't quite know what you do in Palia either, honestly. This I've been seeing everywhere, and I still have not looked at what it actually is. So my brain just is fried. The Sims I would call a life sim, but I guess people are calling it casual too. That's really interesting. So yeah, I would put us in casual. If a Stanley Parable to me is not casual because it's a first-person game, and first-person games are incredibly difficult to play for people who basically did not grow up with them. So this is interesting to me. I wonder what really binds these games together. I don't really know what's casual about any of these games. Paralives, maybe I could see maybe why that one would be casual. It's very curious. Idle, I feel like clicker games, idle games maybe are more casual, but I'm very surprised. I didn't actually know what this meant. That's interesting. So casual means what? Shapes? Shapes is a casual game. Shapes is a gnarly ass puzzle game for big brain people with big, giant, massive programmer brains. That's what Shapes is. Really like manufacturing and automation and like puzzles, like really difficult puzzles. So apparently that's casual too. Is casual just anything without combat? Is that what casual is? Because that's really quite a stupid descriptor in that. Because there's nothing casual about these. I feel like the people who play these games are absolutely core gamers. Core gamers, like people with consoles or people with PCs, gaming PCs, people who identify as someone who plays video games. It's very interesting to me. On Steam, anyway. Because when I think casual games, I think mostly mobile games. Which is very odd. Okay. Anything that isn't like hardcore MMO FPS. Apparently even FPS is casual because we saw Stanley Parable in there. It's just anything without a combat loop specifically, it seems like it's casual. Also, I play City Skylines with 1,000,000 mods, and I just want to decorate, so I turn off most of the gnarly mechanics. See, this is funny because even that, like you saying that, like I mod the shite out of the, like modding to me is not casual. Modding is someone who is a fucking gamer. Like that is someone, I mean, I understand that you maybe play it a little differently. You want to make pretty cities and decorate and stuff, but you're still modding your game. I feel like it's pretty hardcore. Like you are someone who really is passionate about games, it sounds like. That's to me the difference. Casual games imply a game that is not a game of passion, is not a game that you engage deeply with. Yet all of those games that I saw were games that you absolutely engage deeply with. You don't fight people in them, but you do engage deeply with them and you love them and they're like a high art to you, which to me doesn't seem very casual. I don't know if I like that genre descriptor anymore. James says no combat usually binds them. Werbus says common factor is non-action orientation of the gameplay. Interesting, but it's so not casual. I feel like Cacciarella installing a bunch of mods so that she can play City Skylines in exactly the way she likes is not someone just sort of tangentially like, I'll play this to kill time. Like she clearly loves this stuff. That's interesting. Do not require dexterity. Huh. Not high stakes, Some of All Noobs says. But I guess, do not require dexterity, but then you've got Shapes in there, which is this gnarly puzzle game that is way too smart for me. Like you have to be good at puzzle games, I feel like, to play it. Casual can be puzzle or logical or just cozy. You do not play them to win, but to get the experience of them in your own pace. But shapes you do play to win. I mean, there's like, you get through the stages. It seems like all these games are completely different. Like, this completely crazy that there's a genre descriptor that qualifies for both shapes and city skylines. And like, I saw all kinds of stuff in there, like Zoo Tycoon and stuff. Crazy. Catrell says, I think there's a disconnect between what everyone thinks it is versus what Steam thinks it is versus the people who use the tag to get a wider audience. Yeah, gosh, I wonder if we should be using the tag. I never would have thought that our games were for a casual audience, because I just don't feel like our games are casual. I don't feel like you casually wander around in Eastshade. I feel like Eastshade is like a nerdy fantasy world where you go because you freaking love weird fantasy and you get super sucked in to it and stuff. I don't know. I don't feel like most people's relationship with Eastshade is very casual. But I guess I don't know shit about what that genre descriptor actually means. So, okay, looking at the shape of this. I guess we want to kind of make it a little bit fatter, and we want to move it down a little. And then, I don't know, do we kind of want to like tatter these boards a bit or something? I don't even really know what to do here. Let's try that. How does that look? Werbo says, not a competition with others, no need for social interactions with other players, no pressure to play of any form. Interesting. Trying to think of games that would qualify as that. That are definitely not casual. Like, I would argue, I mean, like, aren't a lot of horror games like that? No, I guess you like die in horror games, so there's a skill component. Huh. Interesting. Super interesting. Okay, so this thing is not there. There we go. Now we're orientated correctly. All right, so let's check this interior out and give it a save. And James says, Eastshade has combat. Urbo says, the same motivation you have when take a book, spend time in an entertaining way. Yeah, but nobody would call a book casual. Isn't that weird? Casual has such a specific connotation. Like, just because a game is more like a book, to me, it's very strange that makes it casual, because books are not casual, right? Horrors usually require reflex or dexterity. Yeah, they usually do, but they don't always. Catrella says, I associate casual with won't stress me out, sort of adjacent to cozy. But you're right about the tag being a mess of different game types. Still maybe worth an ad for exposure because of the association algorithm on Steam. A lot of cozy and beautiful artsy games use it. Anyone who has played a lot of them will get recommendations based on it. Interesting. Well, I've got to tag it. I mean, Steam shows you an example of games that it thinks that you're like. And when you run your tagging wizard, and we're getting good matches. So hopefully we're tagged correctly, but maybe we should add that. Casual is non-competitive. Isn't that like, yeah, I guess like Roller Coaster Tycoon is non-competitive. Trying to think of other games that definitely, like, is Half-Life 2 competitive? I guess it is. It requires dexterity. It's not competitive, because you're not really playing against other people. But it does, you will die in Half-Life 2. Maybe that's the thing. Well, I think it's a little strange. And I don't really like it. Because, I mean, it sounds like I'm a casual gamer. I play some games that like challenge you, but I never play games for challenge ever. I play games to experience it and be chill. And I like to turn the difficulty low and stuff, but I absolutely would not categorize myself as a casual gamer because I'm not casual about games. I'm completely head over heels for games. They're an essential part of my identity, and they mean everything to me. And I feel like they're high art, and I'm pretentious about them and stuff. So it's weird. Oh, okay. Disco Elysium is a great example. Would Disco Elysium be considered casual? Because obviously it's a very dark game. Hey, Saravati. You want to be good in Half-Life. I don't know. I mean, I don't, but I just want to enjoy the content and be along for the ride. Okay, so this is not looking right. The sort of tattered board look doesn't look good at all. So I'm just going to get rid of all those verts. Let's dissolve those verts. And then maybe let's make a cut like this here. And I'll just do this sort of rounded thing over here. Maybe that'll look good. I don't even really know what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, but let's see. How's that? Sort of weird platform doohickey. I think people will wonder a little bit what the heck is going on. I do kind of like that rounded look. Let's try it. Try this. Do the same thing over here. Just sort of cut this out by hand. Okay, we're gonna have to bevel that. Let's extrude a little bit. We'll delete the bottom face. If you're not good in Half-Life, you just restart level. Yeah, I guess you die. Maybe that's the difference. You are good or dead. Interesting. Feel like on the low difficulties though, it's pretty it definitely is a game that is trying to challenge you a little bit though, so I totally get what you're saying. Just gonna bevel these a little bit. Get it smoother. I'll bevel these ones as well. Okay. And then, so we need to unwrap all this stuff. Actually, we really should just unwrap the top face. And then the sides, we're just going to unwrap the one and then get all the rest and then follow active quads. Put it on there. Okay. And also want to darken those faces. We'll export. Okay. The way rock forward always makes me wonder if you're sitting on a chair or riding a tour. Oh yeah, I've got this weird habit where I rock. Warbus, I mean, I'm sitting in a chair. I just, for some reason, I do this weird rocking thing. It's like a tick. I don't know. Warbus says, you can die in Disco Elysium, but this is not something that stops you from playing. It's more like finding ways to die are Easter eggs, not part of the gameplay. Interesting. Your goal is to experience the story. Think about it and make you feel, yeah. Very interesting. Okay, so here's our like platform. I'm thinking that I don't know. I did this really weird thing here with like the bites. I think it looks all right, but we do want to at least make them a little bit more even here. Let me check that follow. Marsh Matter, thank you for the follow. Really appreciate that. Just gonna squash it down a little bit. And then I reckon I'll just squash it this way as well. And this, we'll just in general make it smaller. I'll make it a little smaller like this as well. Make it a little smaller like this, and then we'll move it this way. Okay. And then we'll just re-unwrap the, re-unwrap the top, no biggie. And let's see how that looks. If that looks any better. All right. Enjoy. That just looks really weird. It's so strange. It's like I think we want to make it regular. I'll say that. So I will cut this thing in half. And we'll just go with the one quadrant here. And we'll cut this in half as well. There are obviously cleaner ways to do this, but I don't care. It doesn't really matter. I'll just delete this. It's all going to get cleaned up anyway. Yeah, for this little one right here, I do want to bevel that a little bit. Okay. And then we'll just add a mirror modifier. We'll just add it 2 ways. And I will put grab this and we'll just scale this down. I don't really know. Is it, oh, okay, the pivot is all the way over there, huh? Well, we'll move the pivot to origin. And then we'll move everything else right there. Now we should have the merge. And I will start by just exporting that to see. We've got a more normal, generic shape now. And it does look less weird, which is good. We don't want it to look too bizarre. I'll take this in a little bit. It's just a little bit wider than necessary. Werbus says, what makes casual can be just fact that the game has an ending. So go through and put away what is possible to the games like Overwatch or Gacha that have no end. You just do the match after a match. Interesting. Well, our games definitely have an end. Catrell says, I think it looks good. Maybe just a hint of a shadow on the ground. Yes, that's great thinking. You think like an artist. Only an artist would think of that. So you must be an artist. I'm just starting to learn Godot and Blender. All right, coming from graphic design. Aha, I knew it. I knew you were an artist. Only an artist would say that. So inspirational to see someone actually working on such a beautiful game. Well, thank you. Helps keeps me going through the rough parts of the learning curve. All right, yeah, keep the faith. If you want to, the mist clears. That's awesome. Exciting stuff, exciting stuff. Werbus says this could mean that games like God of War count as casual. Go and experience the story. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, well, our platform is a little bit big. Let's scale it down a little bit and move it a little bit. Okay, now we're just going to unwrap. Now we've got a little doohickey here that I think I want to bevel. Okay, export that. Okay, now it's too small. I just keep wiffle waffling. I just keep going back and forth. What do you have here? Oh, it's edge mode. Okay, let's go face mode. And then let's pull it a little bit more. Okay, there we go. And yeah, I think we do need some kind of shadow to ground it because it's just sticking out. Also, the lighting is making it way worse, but we need some kind of shadow for sure. So in order to make the shadow, I think I'll use like shadow medium. Medium, just constrained to materials, shadow radial medium. Let's copy that. And I'm going to apply, and I'll just grab the bottom edge here, and we'll just extrude and then scale. So we can give a little, so this is going to be the shadow. And then I'll grab all of this stuff and I will partition it into another object. Then I will give a new material to this object. And we should have this easy peasy. So I'm just going to unwrap one part of it, and then I will follow active quads to all the other parts. And if I go image open and we look for our shadow image, which is, of course, is not in here. I don't actually know where the shadow image is. It's annoyingly difficult to find. It's in sprites decals. So let's go. Let's just type sprites /decals / and then let's go shadow. Doesn't actually matter which one we take. We just need to be able to see what we're doing. And I'll just squash them all down. And now I can just sample from one bit of shadow here. So that's going to be the easiest way to make this shadow fade, little shadow fade here. We got it the wrong way. I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. And now we should get a shadow fade. So I'll export Doesn't look like a shadow fade here, but it will in the engine. I think that it must, yeah, so it's actually submerged underground right now. So if I want, it's weird because it should be on top there, but we'll just keep moving it up until it pops above the ground. So it's definitely above the ground significantly. We want it to be a little closer to the ground, but I still don't see any significant shadow. Could just be it's too light there. Oh no, we do have a shadow. Ah, we could probably use the dark one. Radial. Let's try the dark one. Might help ground this a little bit more. Gosh, I cannot see it. It's like so subtle. It's not underground. No, it's definitely not underground. It's just a very subtle shadow. But it is there. It's making a difference. It's better than nothing. I would like it to be a little bit stronger. But anyway, let's give it a save. Okay. Rebecca says ambient inclusion type of shadows are crucial for hand-drawn or stylish aesthetics. Yes, I'm a fan. Some kind of shadowing anyway. Yeah, it just doesn't, things don't look grounded until there's some kind of shadow. Doesn't have to be a little like fadey ambient occlusion style one, but this one seems to be doing the trick. Okay, so that's what we have. Now looking at the concept, hers is definitely more, a lot more space in the middle. So let's try to recreate some of that space. So we're going to push that one way up, push this one up, push this one down. Give this one a little bit more space too. Let's save that. The proportions are just a little bit off. Okay, glad to hear it, Cacciarella. Seems like it really, I don't know how we messed this up. I guess I was just too focused on the detail, not focused enough on the big read. But looking at the concepts, hers is just a lot more vertical. But you know what? I think I'm just gonna cheese it a little. It's just gonna be so much easier to just expand a little bit there and then move these significantly more, just to make these pumpkins look more like a circle. Also, in terms of the size, do we even have the size right? Yeah, I think we've got the size just about right. Let's add the candles. We could also maybe add, well, these could just go over a little bit more. Now, she is sort of compromised her location now, so let's move her like right here. How about? I think that for the collision, I actually think if we just add a mesh collider on it and then do convex, it'll work perfect, which is lovely. Then we can do wood. Oh, right. We need to move this again now. We might be able to like add some little doohickeys like fence. I don't know. We could put some more like fencing, I guess. Just for a little something. Just like some kind of visual interest of some kind here. Yeah, I kind of like it. It seems like we do need a little bit more to the side space for the player pumpkin, so I will widen it just a little bit, and let's move Sarah over. I do kind of like how that fence is feeling. I might even put one on the top. I don't want to do too much fence stuff here because I do want the player to be able to walk off in this direction, but just kind of adds a little something. Catrell says, I'm curious how you go about art directing the scenes. Like the mock-up you are working from, is that all done at the time it's illustrated or something you plan out together first? Jacqueline always concepts, like whether it's an area or, well, I shouldn't say always, because sometimes the exterior areas I will actually prototype in 3D. But yeah, like I'll literally take some assets and I'll start like placing them around and sort of creating a kind of feel. Sometimes I'll even make a new prop. There are a couple of areas in the game that like I entirely prototyped in 3D, but most of the areas in the game, especially the interiors, Jacqueline will concept. She makes concepts for them, and they're usually quite rough. She often will show them to me and say, like, what do you think of this? And she might even have a couple versions of them. And then she will go through and like make it even more, slightly more polished. And then we do something I call projection, which is where I map it onto a bunch of 3D meshes. And I sort of get it in the engine so you can walk around in it. And then Jacqueline has another pass where she sometimes she'll draw right on the texture to like make everything look good, but then also sometimes she'll paint over the entire thing. She'll screenshot it in game, paint over the whole thing, and then I'll go to her paint over and I will add all the things. This one is a bit weird because I'm pretty sure we prototyped this in 3D, if I remember correctly. And then she's done paint overs of like particular areas. And she also has gone in Unity and done a bunch of prop placement as well. And then on top of that, then I'll go in and do a bunch of prop placement. So it's just kind of like passes. Sometimes it's like concept 3D, paint over, 3D, paint over, new concept of some particular part. So it just keeps going back and forth. It's an expensive way to do business. It's really very labor intensive, the way that we do stuff. But that's how it's usually done, I think, in art, like art heavy games that like where the visuals are really important. Hey, Nani says, are we in less spoiler territory? Well, we're working on the fall festival, so if you don't want to see the fall festival, then you better avert your eyes. But I would say it's less spoilery because we're not like just working on end of game stuff. James says, what's your thoughts on making chests store more items? I don't know. I mean, you could always placate to the hoarder and people, but it doesn't really bother me too much to add more slots. I don't know, if people want to hoard stuff, then they can, but they could also just buy more chests. So I don't know. Catrell says, I love hearing other people's process. Yeah, of course. I'm finding thinking in 3D a huge shift. It would be nice to have a partner so I can spend more time on art. Managed to suck my husband in enough that he is enjoying making some Godot prototypes. All right, very cool. Is your husband coder? Falls okay, not endgame. Yes, please, us hoarders must hoard. Oh dear. Too small. Okay, gotcha. 5 chests. Wow. You guys like to save stuff. I am very much not a hoarder in games, so like I basically keep nothing. But yeah, we might see about we might see about making more. I feel like there should be some kind of lampposts here. Let me get a really cool lamp because, God, we have so many cool lamp posts. And I'd like to use some. And I think it's okay if the player like has the same one. I don't think that that's the biggest crime. Like, look how cool this one is. This is awesome. We've got to use some of these for sure. Garden lantern. This is just way too cool. Come on, get out of town. We got to use one of these. Let's see how that looks. A network engineer in dire need of creative outlet. Oh, okay. That could be very cool. I played Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, and you can't hoard easily. It was intense. Oh my God. I played one of the Story of Seasons games. It was the really, really pretty one. Gosh, what was it? Doraemon. I played Doraemon. It was very beautiful. So little by way of exploration, just like very little to explore. Absolute meat grinder of a game. Just like, oh my God. I couldn't even believe it. When you started the game, it went on like a 1-hour exposition dump of like every shop in the game. Here's every shop in the game, and here's every single system in the game. I couldn't believe it. People really must love that farm grinding loop. It was so unquesty. It was so unadventure-y. There was so little adventure in it. I really felt that game actually made me worry when I played it. It was years ago, and I was like, fuck, should we even be making a farming sim? Because this sucks. This is so boring. I know some people probably love that game, but man, that was like, it really proved to us what we don't want to be. So hopefully we're not that. Oh man. Let's see. Double the size. Wow, that's a lot. I play the organizing chests mini game in games a lot. It's oddly soothing just to sort things sometimes. Okay. James says, also, I think will have to be some minor price adjustments to Kavita's store based on profit made from growing the crops versus the purchase price. I did have a calculator that that ran all the numbers on that stuff. So in theory, it should be balanced, at least as far as the seed versus the sale price of the fruit that it yields. I ran a bunch of calculations on it to make sure that it was all reasonable. Although whether it feels right is a different story. Sometimes there's crops that are, we call them stage decrementers, but they don't, the crop doesn't go away. When you harvest it, it sticks around, like basil is one of them. So it makes sense that the sale price for basil should be probably even less than the seed or the start, because yeah, you get to keep, you don't have to repurchase the seed. So there's some considerations there, but yeah, if any of them are totally out of whack, then we might have to take a look. I really want to replace these with a different lantern. I just think it'd be so cool. Anyway, definitely cannot be interactive, and it cannot be an item pickup, craft, or pack. I'll just remove all that stuff. I'll ask Jacqueline about what she thinks for this. Should also have another one down here. Let's save that. Grand Bazaar is perfect story of seasons. One of my favorite games. It's come out in the last few years. Oh, okay. Maybe I have to play that one. Moon Poppy and Rhubarb, both 70 sell, but different price seed. Okay, let's see. Moon Poppy has a base value of 70. It could be that there are other factors, because the different things grow at different rates as well. The Moon Poppy seeds are worth 100. The Moon Poppy is worth 70. Rhubarb is worth 70, just like you said. And then the rhubarb seed is worth less. So the other thing we would have to consider is the Moon Poppy useful for something other than, oh, I guess the rhubarb. Yeah. Is the Moon Poppy useful for something other than just selling it? Because if that's true, then that would affect the price as well. And I cannot remember at the moment what Moon Poppy is. But some of those discrepancies I like to leave in too, because sometimes people want to just like find the best deals or whatever. Like they want to find the best supply chains or something. But let's just see if rhubarb's has crop settings. I think the rhubarb is in the crop settings. One of these might be a stage decrementer. With the cheaper one would be the stage decrementer, so it would not be rhubarb, it would be Moon Poppy. Wait, Moon Poppy. Oh no, because the seed for rhubarb is cheaper. So yeah, the Moon Poppy would be the stage decrementer. Let's see if that one's a stage decrementer. I don't think it is, but let me just check. Crop settings. Initial growth. Oh my God, I cannot find the stage decrement. Man, I'm so pissed off right now. Stage decrements. Stage on harvest. It's literally the first thing at the top of the item, which is crazy. Okay, so that one's not. Rhubarb is not. Okay, so they neither are stage decrementers. Yeah, so there's a discrepancy there. Early game econ exploits. Yeah, maybe we'll reduce the sale price for some stuff. Well, yeah, if you find a particularly exploitative one, we can always reduce that sales price. That stuff will be good to know. Okay. I think that we can maybe check out how that's feeling. Oh, we've also probably have to take a look at the schedules. So let's do festival fall. Fall Fest, NPC schedule, T NPC schedule. Here we go. Let's see if there's anybody just standing right in the middle of that thing there. Okay, well, there's only one, oops, only one person standing in the middle of that thing, and I don't know who it is. And it's going to be really difficult to figure out. It might actually be impossible to figure out. One issue with our scheduling system is you cannot see which NPC is standing where. Is it market customer? Let's save. Oh, God bless. Okay, it is market customer. Phew, let's put him there. I wonder, is he the guy? Is he the pumpkin judge? I don't know. Let's put him right in the middle there. Send the data. Send the data, like, I'm trying to think of how for all the item datas. Yeah, we might be able to make something that will print all the data. There's a lot of item data, so we'd probably have to code something for that. Because there's no easy way, there's no like spreadsheet it's pulling from or something. Price list for all items. Yes, there's nothing to screenshot, unfortunately. Every item data is its own. Like here's an item data for rhubarb. And then here's all the settings that make up rhubarb. All the like things you can make with rhubarb and all kinds of stuff. So each one is its own little data. So we'd have to create a script that runs through all the item data and prints all of the prices of everything. But maybe we can do that. Yeah, I'm sure that would be useful anyway. But it's a little bit involved. All right, let's turn off the Fall Fest. And go to the Fall Fest. And then we're gonna have to call it 6:30. No, it shouldn't be ridiculous. It'll probably take like an hour. Cool. Excellence.
Ready to go see the festival?
Gotta reduce Nessa's size there. There needs to be some crowd walla. Why is there no crowd walla? Where is market customer? Where's the pumpkin judge? Who are you? Why are you standing over here?
Happy Pumpkin Moon!
Any treats catching your eye?
Treats? I think he's got the wrong conversation. Okay, market customer, where are you? You're behind a pumpkin! You're definitely in the wrong spot. We need to rebake the nav mesh. So, I should be able to talk to you now.
Time to judge these wonderful pumpkins.
And there's the player pumpkin. So that one should be way higher up.
Welcome, everyone. We've had some brilliant entries for this year's pumpkin competition.
I don't know where we're gonna put everyone.
And I'm pleased to announce that the winner is the owner of this massive pumpkin. Speak to me to collect your prize.
Okay. All right. Oh, the music is so good. Okay, I'm very pleased about that. Does marjoram regenerate? I shall find out. Oh, Jacqueline's going to be really happy with that as well. That was cool. Let's go to the Fall Fest interior. And then just grab this pumpkin. It just needs to be closer here. And then the player pumpkin seems like it just needed to be a little bit more that way. Okay, marjoram. Marjoram is, yes, marjoram decrements. So you don't actually lose the plant when you harvest. Yeah, I have not heard that song very much at all. Probably I've only heard it once in my life, so. Or like 2 or 3 times probably, so that's very exciting for me as well. Okay, that is really cool. But unfortunately, there's a lot of work to do on that. We've got to move everyone. We've got to bake the nav mesh. But I think that's all I can do for today. I definitely don't want to leave this stuff checked out. I'll leave the Fall Fest stuff there. VA script stuff, we'll leave that in progress. I don't think I've done anything for this. But I'll just leave, I'll give it a save and then check it in. Good, good. All right, folks, I think I'm gonna have to call it a stream now. I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me. And if you're new to the stream, please check out our game. I just put a link there in the chat with the MooBot. If you go check out our Steam page, it has a demo that you can play right now. It seems like your cup of tea. Give it a try. Give it a try. Maybe give it a wish list if it seems like your jam. Otherwise, hopefully I'll catch some of y'all in the next dev stream. All right, peace out, everyone.